Here before.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our One World Zohar, our opportunity to connect with the Zohar of the week and the energy of the week. This week's portion is Mishpatim, and in our edition of the Zohar, it's volume 10. We are at paragraph 384, and the article is called Mem, Tet, and Mot. And before we begin with the actual study, let's set our consciousness. First of all, let's invite in the lineage of Kabbalists, the Rabbi Karen Michael, Rabbi Shlag, Rabbi Brandwein, the Ria Kodesh, the Ramchal, Rabbi Tarfon, Rabbi Avram Mazulai, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Levitepsk, Rabbi Kolonush, Pierre Piasetzna, the Baal Shem Tov, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and all the students of Mordechai of Chernobyl, and Sol, the Sevet Tzaddik in Shechem. I just want to point out that this week, years ago, during this portion of Mishpatim, I actually went to visit Rabbi Tarfon. I've been there to his gravesite in northern Israel a bunch of times, but I was there not with a big group. I was there with just a few close family and friends. It was a small group, and I dragged us there for reasons I'm not going to go into. Well, I had an experience with Rabbi Tarfon in a meditation, so I figured he came to visit me, so maybe I should go visit him. So I did, and I didn't know at the time that the Kabbalah Center, whenever they do an energy trip, they always in their northern Israel, they always go to visit Rabbi Tarfon. I did not know that. So this had to be around 20 years ago, actually. And I was exploring on the mountain that he's buried on. He's not buried on a mountain with like 100 steps. It's a very surreal place. And I went up on the mountain a little higher than he was, where his burial spot is, just to look around. And a dog attacked me, and I turned around and I ran, and everyone is screaming. And my Israeli tour guide picked up some rocks and started throwing it at the dog. I mean, he charged at me, and he was definitely in attack mode. But like I got to back in the gate before he had a chance to really sink his teeth into me. Um, I share that because it's a crazy story, but also like the idea of dogs. This is this extreme judgment. That's what they represent. And there's actually a reference in this week's portion to throwing tainted meat to the dogs.
Hmm.
So, so I can't really share with you what was the complete significance of that, other than that I probably got to my next level. With that, let's, at that point, uh, with that, let's turn our consciousness as we connect to these verses, turn our consciousness to the level of Bina, the reservoir of fulfillment, and let's, with this opportunity, channel the energy of healing for everyone we know who needs healing. Whoever you know, just like send them energy of healing. I'm at my list I'm going to read, which is a lot of people in class have given me names. Minda Bat Chaya, Moshe Ben Chana, Albert Ben Imelda, Melda Bat Carmen, Dana Bat Vicky, Gija Bat Roxana, Yisrael Zev and Men Yeracha, Ariel Bat Rivka Tova, Meir Tzvi Ben Gittel, Nachman Ben Chaya, Rachel Ben Chaya, Jeffrey Ben Fern, Marley Bat Shari, Shina Dvor Bat Chaya Chana, Levi Ben Bluma, Surpel Bat Teresa, Sar Bat Malka, Yisrael Bat Rivka, Melissa Bat Margie, Chana Bat Rivka, Karen Bat Sarah, Hudi Masanavam Bat Daviva, Gedesa Rachel Carol Bat Susan, Julie Bat Young. Also, another Karen Bat Sarah. I don't know. I'm saying Sarah because I don't know her, who had surgery this morning. I'm not sure of her mother's name, but Judy Bat Abraham. Also, let's send out energy of assistance to those souls that we know are in the first 12 months of their elevation. You'd have been Abraham.
David, I think it was Sarah about Barbara.
Okay, healing energy to Sarah Bat Barbara, who was scheduled for surgery, knee surgery this morning at 7:30. Okay, Daniel Ben David. Okay, with that, let's also turn our attention to the energy of Avat Hinam, unconditional love, treating everyone in the world with human decency, protection from evil eye and evil speech. There's a Zohar that today's Zohar study by Eitan Yardeni went really into the details of why it's so important to restrict our tendency towards evil speech. It just creates a lot of negativity. He said basically that illness in the world is a direct result of evil speech. Let's also connect to the energy of ending all the wars and conflicts in our world, protection from all those innocents in harm's way, removal of chaos and negativity from our world. Okay, verse 384. Uchan dechazart betiyuvta v'itdabkat v'ilana dechaye. Haf nafka me'eved v'ithadart ben lekuchabrichu. Umated it mesar bidach. Yehe eitz chayim. Vav diyu ben ka. V'teiu b'maitama anpin dilach b'oraita. V'itaved mot. V'yitkayam bach. Lo yitain lo'olam mot l'tzadik. Maitama anpin. Maitama advan dishma Yisrael v'roch shem. Shit tevin di Yehuda ila'a, vav ila'a tiferet. Shit tevin tinyanin, devaroch shem, vav tinyanat tzadik, maitama, bemtzaita alaf, visa'uhu bamot bishnayim. Do you want to start with the synopsis, Vicky?
Memtet and Mot. Rabbi Shimon tells Moses that the staff given to him will be a tree of life, denoting Vav, which will become a rod.
Okay, so this section is about a conversation that Rabbi Shimon has with Moses. Now, an obvious point, they lived at different time periods. So I'll just let that sink in. They had a conversation. The Zohar is recording the conversation, but they didn't coincide in life on the planet, physical. Physically, they were not here at the same time. So how are they having this conversation? Well, first of all, we know that when Rabbi Shimon went into the cave for 13 years, where the Zohar was revealed to him, every day Moshe came and taught him and his son Elazar. Like that's how they learned the Zohar. Moses and Elijah, the prophet, came to them every day and taught them. Just note, like we invite in, every time we connect as a group and we're studying here, we invite in the lineage of Kabbalists for the same reason. Do you see them enter the room when we invite them in? It doesn't mean they're not there. But at Rabbi Shimon's level, he presumably saw Moses and saw Elijah the prophet, Eliyahu Navi. So, but for us, again, an opportunity as we connect to this ability of Moses and of Rabbi Shimon and Moses to have a conversation, this is our ability also to have a conversation with our guides. It's also an opportunity for us to have a conversation with the light, with the Creator, and draw closer to the Creator. Let's continue.
He explains that two precepts were validated. You shall surely help him to lift them up again, and you shall surely unload it with him. These allude to Messiah, the son of David, and Messiah, the son of Joseph.
So one of the things that this Zohar section goes into, I don't think we're going to get that far, but it's important to know because this is the energy we're connecting to. These two quoted verses, they look like to us just random verses. I'm sure they were in a story, in a narrative, and they fit in the narrative. But to the Kabbalist who sees the narrative, they see that these verses quoted here are much more than just fitting into a narrative. They're connecting to the energy of Messiah. And for those of us who are unaware, there are two Messiahs. We think of the Messiah, we think of Mashiach ben David, the Messiah, son of David. But there's also a Mashiach ben Yosef, a Messiah, the son of Joseph. And so the Zohar and other verses, we are at verse 384, volume 10, Mishpatim. So within this section, it's a reference to and connection to the two Messiahs. We've studied other sections of Zohar that discuss the two Messiahs. The reason that this is so important is because it's this, the study of the arrival of Messiah is not about, some person coming to the world. It might be, but in a much deeper way, from a Kabbalistic standpoint, it's about the energy of immortality, the end of pain and suffering in our world. And so this section also gives us an opportunity to connect with that energy of immortality, that energy of the end of pain and suffering in our world. Let's continue.
The third precept is that of the gleaning, the forgotten sheaf, and the poor man's tithe. The rising, meaning redemption, is in Moses' level.
Okay, so can't really comment on what that means. We're not going to go too deeply into it, but this idea of gleaning, what is gleaning? It's like separating the wheat from the chaff. This is what we do. Michael and Monica, podcast from Monday, which I don't know what the title was, but it was about the concept of meh, like people, that's English words, like boredom, like I'm uninspired. I I I didn't select the section or listen to that podcast for that because we were doing this, which is also a mem sound. Michael has a funny comment. He's like, meh, it's like the first two letters are me. And really, it's about the point that he makes, and it's a really great conversation if you have the time today or over the weekend. Um, it's it's not about us becoming better people. We're all good people. It's not about becoming better. This life is not an aptitude test. Academics would like you to believe that, but life is not an aptitude test. It's not about scoring higher. It's about changing. It's about us seeing where we need to change. We are blocked. There are shadows that blockages create and stand in the way of us manifesting our light more fully in the world. That's why we're here, to see what's in our blind spot. Because rest assured, those blockers are in our blind spot. We're feeding them all the time. Every time we fall into the same pattern, we're feeding a blockage. The goal is to change, is to spot those places. And how do I know when they go into this? But, you know, it's uncomfortable. It's the things that we're uncomfortable doing, and so we avoid them. That's easier to see in someone else, but the goal is to reflect on that and see that where am I uncomfortable? What am I uncomfortable doing? And so that third precept is all about, well, it's about a lot of things, but it's also about us finding where our blockages are, removing the chaff from our wheat. Okay, with that, let's dive into verse 384, the English. Vicky.
And now that you have repented and enjoined yourself with the tree of life, and you have relinquished the role of servant and returned to be a son to the Holy One, blessed be he, the staff given to you will be a tree of life, denoting Vav,
All right,
which
let's
is the
stop there for a second.
Mhm.
There's so much here. So what does it mean to repent? You know, we have this, I mean, it's actually a universal idea of repenting is like, forgive me because I've sinned. It's like asking for forgiveness. That's our understanding of repentance. But in a much deeper way for us, if you look at the actual Aramaic word, it's the second word there, the chazart b'tiyuvta. Choser means to return. So repenting isn't so much of saying I'm sorry, it's a return to my source, to my soul. And again, that goes to this idea of the blockages that I have that stand in the way of me, my soul. When I say I need to change, I'm really not doing something new. When I transform, I'm not, becoming something, I am becoming something different, but I'm just becoming who I really am. I'm showing up as my purest self, my most authentic self, not my body consciousness, not my mindsets, not what society is telling me I need to do, not what even the Kabbalah Center is telling you to do. You are becoming your most authentic version of yourself, and only you can do that. To be on this path and to be in this path of study is to give us the tools to recognize that. So, one huge takeaway right here for us in this study, the energy available to us, the consciousness available to us, is to understand the difference between self-improvement and self-actualization. Arguably, they're not the same. This is about us becoming more authentic. This is about us returning to our most authentic self in the deepest level possible, to our soul. Unfortunately, we're here and we're arguably in a realm that's not conducive towards becoming your most authentic self. There's all these distractions. There's people telling you stuff. There's your social media stream. There's pressures. There's distractions. It's like all kinds of stuff. That's not really conducive towards finding out who you are and becoming your most authentic self. Paradoxically, it doesn't seem like it's conducive to it, but it's precisely conducive to it because to do the work, we need blockages in the way. We need distractions. This does not work. It's easy. Okay. A couple other things. So it's this idea of the first idea is this idea of repentance isn't so much repentance as it is us removing the blockages to be our most authentic self, to connect to soul. And the other idea is this enjoining yourself with the tree of life. Like, what does that mean? Like, it's not that we're connecting to the tree of life, it's joining it. It's like being a part of that energy of the tree of life. Again, that is where your soul is. Your soul is connected to the tree of life. Your soul is one part of that tree of life. That soul that you have is a spark from the creator. It is of the creator. This is why, like, I've heard teachers say, like, you don't have standing to criticize yourself. And what do you mean I don't stand? You have no business criticizing yourself. You carry within yourself the spark of the creator. Who are we to criticize the spark of the creator? It's another illusion. We're here to remove the blockages. That's something else. So this idea of the tree of life is not just connecting to it, is recognizing that we are part of that. We are manifesting that pure spark. Now, that brings us to another concept, this relinquishing of the role of servant and returning to be a son of the creator. Anyone want to share like how they understand the difference between servant to the creator and son to the creator? This is actually something we spend a lot of time on in certain of our connections leading up to Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. So the idea is that in some ways, like we want to view ourselves as a servant of the Creator. I'm just here to do the Creator's work. That would be a servant of the Creator. But the thing about a servant or an employee is you punch the clock, you're working, and then you punch out, and you're like, you're done. That's what a servant is. A servant like does the work. The son is in the business. The son he's part of the business. There's no punching a clock. And so what we have another opportunity here is to look at our life and what it is we do, not from the perspective of like being on and doing things, showing up and doing things, also important, but we don't want to look at that perspective. We're in the business. This is a 24/7 job. And when you're in the business, it's not even a job. It's like you and the world depend on moving this initiative forward. There is no rest from this. I mean, it doesn't mean you can't rest. It just means that even when you're resting, you're just taking, recharging so you can get back to the business at hand. So it's also, again, it's a huge opportunity for us to transform and change our consciousness and seeing what our role is in a different way. This brings us to this idea of the staff. So picture, if you've seen the movie The Ten Commandments, you picture Moses and Aaron, they show up to meet Pharaoh, and they're both carrying staffs. Now, when I first saw this section this week, I'm like, what's the deal with the staff? Is it like a fashion statement? Like, why a staff? And who shows up with the staff? And if you were in any setting, business or social, and someone showed up with a staff, you would think it was like kind of affected. They were kind of affected. Like, who does that? Nobody, literally. You see people with a cane, it's because they need the assistance to walk and maintain their balance. So why is it there is staff? I mean, I'm just saying, take a step back and ask the question, like, what is the deal with the staff? So, and this section is all about it. It's the Hebrew word mateh, staff. So it's this idea that that staff is connected to the tree of life. Let's finish that sentence, Vicky.
Given to you will be a tree of life, denoting Vav, which is the son of Yud He.
Okay, so I want to suggest, yes, Moses had a staff. Aaron had a staff too. By the way, so did Pharaoh's sorcerers. Remember the story a few weeks ago when Moses and Aaron approached Pharaoh and said, "Let my people go." And they're saying that it's a sign. This will be a sign. And what was it? You know, Moses doesn't use his staff. Aaron puts his staff down and it turns into a snake. And as the literal story goes, the sorcerers, Pharaoh's sorcerers, they have staffs too. They put theirs down and they turn into snakes too. So it's all this like competition. What is this, like a magic competition? That's what it sounds like. And then what happens is Aaron's staff swallows up all the other staffs. And interestingly, the Zohar points out there that Aaron's snake turns back to his staff, and it's his staff that swallows up Pharaoh's sorcerers' snakes. It's even bigger magic trick. It wasn't Aaron's snake that swallowed up the other snakes. He turned back to his staff and swallowed them up. Like, what is the deal here with the staffs? Like, I didn't understand the story back then. It didn't make sense. It happened. I'm sure it's significant. I'm not doubting that. But like, what is the deeper understanding? And here it comes up again, this idea of staff. And what we see the Zohar pointing out is Moses' staff, which, by the way, I believe we were taught that it was actually from Adam, Moses' staff. And there's also Zohars that describe it with the 72 names of the Creator on it, the 42-letter name of God. I mean, it wasn't just a staff. It had significant etchings into it. But what it is and what it represents is the tree of life, the reality that's beyond our perception. So why does Moses make this fashion statement by carrying a staff around? Because it's a vav. It's the vav of the tetragrammaton. The vav of the tetragrammaton is there on pin 6, the 6 sphirot directly above our realm of Malchut. That's the tree of life. So what the staff represents is a connection to the upper realm, the world we don't see. But when you see the staff, you see it. It's a physical manifestation of the upper realm. It wasn't the fashion statement. It was a reminder of the upper realm that people needed to see. And this section goes on to say, which is the son of the Yud K. I mean, listen, we have now 2 references to son in the first sentence, basically. What does it mean to be the son of the Yud K? Here I am. Remember, I'm talking about this idea of the difference between being a servant and a son is a different consciousness of what our level of commitment is. Well, what does it mean that the Vav is the son of the Yud K? When you look at the Tetragrammaton, we refer to it as Shem Hashem, the name of the Creator. Hashem, the name. I mean, it's universally referred to it that way, not only in Kabbalistic circles. The world over, it's referred to as the name. And I keep saying, it's not a name. it is a name, but it's not a name. It's an energetic representation. It's an energetic, it is literally emanations of the light of the Creator. That's why we don't pronounce it. It's so powerful. It's those four letters which are emanations of the light of the Creator. That's how strong and powerful it is. So the Vav itself as being a son of the Yud K, because the first two letters, the Yud K, Vav K, the first letter Yud K are Chokhmah and Binah. They're two of the top three Sfirot. So the Vav represents this continuity, this emanation, this son of the first two letters. And this is what Moses is connected to. He's connected to Vav. He is Zer Anpin. I know he's like in the 10 Sfirot, he's Netzach, but he's also Zer Anpin. He is the Vav, which is why every column in the 5 books of Moses starts with the letter Vav, with 6 exceptions, because he channeled that. He represents this bridge, this channel between the physical world and the upper world. It's literally where he's at. And there's so many opportunities here to think about, like just getting back to this idea of name. One of the things that 18 Ardeni taught in a class on the Zohar today about evil speech is that when you speak evil, you're attaching a negative name to somebody. And what's the name? The name is the vessel for your soul. David, is the vessel for my soul. When a parent chooses a name, they're manifesting that soul through that name. So when you speak evil, you say something negative, true or not, you're renaming them. That's why it's so negative. So just a reminder of the importance of the restriction of evil speech, and connecting to the Zohar gives us protection from that. So this section again about the Vav is about Zer Anpin. And so one of the things that we want to think about is, so I would argue maybe there really wasn't a staff that Moses had. He did have a staff. But why did he need that? He didn't need that. We need that. We need to understand that staff. That staff that isn't something that just took place historically. That staff is here for us right now. It's the tree of life. And it's an opportunity to elevate our consciousness to understand that this is an opportunity to connect to the tree of life. It's an opportunity to connect to the upper realm. It's an opportunity to see the world around us for what it is, an illusion. It's a reflection of the upper realm. It's not real. We want to be connected to the upper realm. We want to see the world around us as a reflection of the upper realm, not something that's here, something that's reflecting. And it is. That's all that it is. It's just reflecting. But it looks so good. It looks so real. Yes, it does. And that's to give us the opportunity to do the work, to give us a playing field to elevate our consciousness, to see that deeper reality. So that's what the staff is for us. I asked the question, like, well, where's your staff? Where's my staff? Like, maybe we need staffs. We need that constant reminder that this world is not as it appears. And we get drawn into it like hook, line, and sinker. Of course, it's so good. It's such a good illusion. It's the illusion of all illusions, which is the irony of the staff turning into a snake. Why a snake? Because it was going right back to the Garden of Eden and the snake in the Garden of Eden. The lies that the snake told Eve, which led to our falling. The snake spoke lashon hara. The snake spoke evil speech. Eve was drawn into it, and as a result of that, we live in a world where we experience death and pain and suffering, which we didn't have before that. Literally, the lies of the snake created that, where this was the seed level of us falling into the world that we're in right now. It's also the opportunity for us to grow from that. So when Aaron throws down his staff and it turns into a snake, it's like pointing out the lies of the world. This is the illusion of the world. Okay, let's continue.
Okay, the Vav will penetrate the Mem Tet, 49 aspects you have in Torah and will become a rod. And as such can be fulfilled with the verse, he shall never suffer the righteous to be moved. The
Okay,
49,
so
oh yeah,
so this is the aspects of what that vav will penetrate. Memtet, again, is the 49 aspects we have in the Torah. This is all about, you know, what is the 49? It's the seven sfirot. It's the 7 weeks. It's like, this is again the unification of our world with Zeran Pin. It's an opportunity for us to connect our physical world, our world of illusions, our world of lies, with the Olam Ha'emet, the world of truth, the upper realm, the source. Let's continue.
he shall never suffer the righteous to be moved. The 49 aspects are the secret of the 49 letters in Shema Yisrael.
Okay, so one of the most powerful verses that we have in our connections, we have it in our morning connection, we have it in our evening connection, we have it in our connection that we can say before we go to sleep, is the verse Shema Yisrael. I mean, it's again one of the most powerful lines. It's Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. It's this verse that expresses and invites us to see the world as unified, not as fragmented, to see the upper realm, to see our world as a reflection of the upper realm, and in that sense, to see it in a unified world. That's what the Zohar is telling us, that the Vav penetrates the mateh, the staff, that it's creating this unity. So the other major takeaway for us is here the Zohar is citing that verse, is empowering us to use that verse not in a blind way, but to use it and have a consciousness of, when we say Shema, to have a consciousness of seeing the world in a unified way, of seeing that deeper reality, of seeing that connection, even though we are experiencing it from a physical perspective as separate and distinct, as a world of fragmentation. And the deeper reality is it's all unified. And that's what we want to experience. That's what we want to manifest here. Let's continue.
And bless the name of your glorious kingdom forever.
Okay, so when we say Shema Yisrael, we always, which is 6 words, which is again the 6 connecting to Zeran Pin, the Vav. We also, it followed by another verse, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. And we say that silently. We say it in a whisper. Because the first line is our connection to this concept, and that second line is manifestation. We say it silently because we don't want to invite negativity to that whole transaction that's going on. Because the negative side will want to stand in the way of that. So again, it is 2 verses that we use to manifest the light of the Creator here, to create that unity. Is it not here? Oh, it is here. No, it's here. We just don't see it. So this idea is one of transforming our consciousness so that we're better able to see the impact and the presence of the light of the Creator in our world and in our life. Well, I don't really see the light of the Creator in my life. Right. That's correct. It's very difficult to see. I mean, sometimes we see it, hopefully. I think the goal is to see it more and more and every day and to ask for assistance in seeing the light of the Creator. And we do see it. Like when something works out or there's some kind of coincidence, don't marginalize it by saying, "Oh my God, so great that this worked out." No, this is our seeing the deeper reality of the connectiveness between where we are and the upper realm. Roshan, do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question that the whole idea of saying the Shema and also being aware of what the rod represents is that it's what we identify with, isn't it? I mean, if we see something happening, if we see a person embodying an idea and we identify with that idea and it's a negative idea, we are sunk like a stone in a sense, unless we can stop it. I mean, unless we can stop or pause, if you like, and re-identify with what's real there. Like
Yes. Yeah,
where the
that's
light
where our world is. That's the way the world is. That is the reality of our experience here. And so these tools and this section and all the other tools we have are to give us a fighting chance. That's a great point. One of the things that, and I don't know which teacher I heard say this, I don't know where I heard this, but it was this week. That's why we have the tools that we have to give us a fighting chance to maintain an elevated consciousness. And precisely that's why, oh, now I know. It was a teaching that was posted to our WhatsApp group. Um, an amazing discussion about what angels are. And it was posted earlier today. It's a teaching from Sarah Weston on the power of Mishpatim. And one thing she says, and I'm glad you brought that up, Roshan, now, because now it reminds me to point that out. It's a great thing to listen to. It's not so long. It's like 6 minutes. It's super powerful. I listened to it twice, and maybe I got 70%. But even that may be an exaggeration. Let's assume that is an exaggeration. I feel like I got 70%. But what she says is that Mishpatim, this energy of this week, is about reincarnation. And just understand that if you're here, you've been here before. If you meet somebody, you have a strong connection with them, like right off the bat, likely that connection is from a prior life. We want to be present to that. Not sure we have to tell them that. It depends on who it is and how open they are. But we want to be present to that. Because all the things we're talking about and all the tools, Roshan, that we're talking about, the tool of Shema Yisrael, the tool of Shabbat, the tool of hearing the reading of the Torah tomorrow and Monday and Thursdays also, but for sure, reading the full reading of the portion tomorrow. These are opportunities for us to speed up the correction process for us. If our souls are here, it's because we have things to work on. These tools assist us on speeding up that process. And she goes into more detail on that, and it's really it's a mind bender for sure. But it's like take a step back. Like, do you sense your spiritual progress? No. I mean, I can look at what's going on now and look at what's going on 20 years ago, and I think there's been progress. I mean, that's the only way really to measure progress, to look at where we've been. I can't look at where I think I should be. I have no idea. I don't even know who I am, let alone where I'm supposed to be. So it's just like these tools assist us in growing in our certainty and in growing in our ability to transform and to know that the path that we're on is what our soul was destined to be on. If you're here, it's not an accident. It wasn't even your decision, likely. It was your soul pushing you in this direction. And the soul nudges us all the time. Even when we experience that like blasé feelings, that like, the boredom, the meh in life, it's a wake-up call coming from your soul. And that's the way that's why it's so important to be present to what I'm feeling. I mean, I want to have that electric feeling all the time. Do I feel it when I wake up in the morning? If I'm being honest, I don't. But I want to be present to what I'm feeling. If I need to figure out what I should be doing at any point in time, I need to be present to what I'm feeling, because those feelings are the GPS back to your soul. It's giving you the information you need to do the work we need to transform, not to become a better person, but to transform our nature, to rise above our physical nature, to rise above our blockages, to more authentically manifest who we are, to more authentically manifest our soul. Okay, we're out of time.
Thank you. Shabbat shalom,
Thanks,
everybody.
Vicky. Love you all. Shabbat shalom.
Shalom. Thank you.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you.